Today, you will be able to do two things. You will be able to identify and describe polygons based on their attributes. You will also be able to identify the number of right angles a polygon has. As always, please make sure you have a pencil, a piece of paper, a notebook, or your math packet next to you so that you're able to participate on every slide with me. Well, third graders, let's begin by reviewing the wonderful geometry vocabulary you learned during our first 4 lessons. You know that a polygon is any closed shape with 3 or more angles. You know that a side is a line segment with 2 endpoints used to form a polygon. And you know the angles are formed when 2 sides meet or come together, the corner. Today we're going to learn about a very special type of angle. Would you begin by drawing the shape in the middle of my screen on your paper? Determine the name of this shape and label the sides and angles of this shape. Pause the video and do this task, please. I hope you are able to remember that this shape is called a triangle. A triangle is a shape with 3 sides and 3 angles. As I mentioned, today we're going to learn about a very special type of angle called a right angle. A right angle is an angle of 90 degrees, like the perfect corner of a square or rectangle. It's the intersection of 2 perpendicular straight lines. So it's where 2 straight lines that are perpendicular come together. So this shape right here has one right angle where 2 perpendicular lines come together. And I always remember that by the corner of a piece of paper or square. So I know that these 2 angles are not right angles because they are not the intersection of 2 perpendicular straight lines. This angle is though, so it's a right angle. So I want to discuss something else that you know really well. Boys and girls, would you take a moment, pause the video, and identify the names of each of these polygons on this screen based on the number of sides that they have. So pause the video and see if you can remember the names of all of the polygons that we've learned about so far. Wonderful. Who was able to do this? I hope that you saw right away that this polygon, which is just any closed shape with 3 or more angles, had 3 sides and 3 angles. What is the name of a shape with 3 sides and 3 angles? You're exactly right. This is a triangle. You may have determined right away that this is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and 4 angles where the sides meet. It is a quadrilateral. Was anyone able to determine the specific type of quadrilateral? You are exactly right. This quadrilateral is a rectangle. And this 5-sided polygon is called a pentagon. Wonderful. Were any 3rd graders also able to remember the names of these 2 shapes? You're exactly right. The first one is a hexagon because it has 6 sides and 6 angles. And our final shape is an octagon because it has 8 sides and 8 angles. See if you can lock the names of all of these polygons in your head as we move forward. So part of our task today is going to be to identify polygons. So make sure that you have this polygon vocabulary sheet handy right next to you so that you're able to reference this sheet whenever you might need help. Thank you, boys and girls. Okay, 3rd graders. So after you identify polygons today, you are going to determine the number of right angles each polygon that we identify has. So sit up really straight and focus because this is our new learning today. Our new learning today is identifying right angles within a shape. You know a little bit about right angles already. You know that they're an angle of 90 degrees, as in the corner of a square or a rectangle. Just like a piece of paper has 4 corners. Each of those corners is a right angle. Trace the corner of your paper. That angle that you just traced is a right angle. It's where 2 perpendicular straight lines come together. So this angle right here is a right angle. This angle right here is not a right angle because you see that there aren't 2 perpendicular lines that come together. These lines are not perpendicular. This angle is smaller than a right angle, which you will learn in other grades. That's called an acute angle. Today, you just need to be able to identify angles and determine whether or not they're right angles. Pause the video and remember why this angle is a right angle and this angle is not. You're exactly right. This angle is a right angle because it's where 2 perpendicular straight lines come together or meet. This angle is not a right angle because these lines that come together, the sides that come together to form the angle, are smaller than a right angle. So I would like you guys to sort some angles with me to determine, are they right angles or are they not right angles? This will be very important to our new learning today. Let's do 2 together. I'm going to start with this angle. So this angle right here, I can tell right away that it's a right angle because there are 2 perpendicular lines that come together and form a perfect corner, like the corner of a square. It's where 2 perpendicular lines come together. You'll notice that this angle comes together on the top of a shape and this one comes together at the bottom. It doesn't matter what the orientation of the angle is. It only matters if it's just like the perfect corner of a square, where 2 perpendicular lines come together. I'm going to show you a way to check very soon. This angle is not a right angle because you'll notice where the 2 sides meet, it's not straight up and down or perpendicular. It's less than 90 degrees. So I know right away that this shape is not a right angle. What about this one? You're exactly right. This angle is a right angle because 2 perpendicular straight lines connect to form a perfect corner just like a square or a rectangle. I have my right angle checker right here. And anytime you're not sure if an angle is a right angle, use your right angle checker and line it up to see, does it fit perfectly? And you will find that it does. Your right angle check would just be your piece of paper. So take your piece of paper and double check to make sure that the corners fit in this right angle perfectly. You're right, it's a perfect right angle. Let's look at this one. So this angle is not a right angle. It does not have an angle of 90 degrees. It's bigger than a right angle. So I know right away that it's not a right angle. You'll notice again that the orientation of these right angles look different. It doesn't matter if the 2 sides meet on the top or on the bottom. Any place where 2 perpendicular lines meet or come together is a right angle. Pause the video and tell me how these right angles are different than these angles that are not right angles. You're right. It's because it's where 2 perpendicular lines come together just like the corner of a square. You guys get to do a wonderful task with me to prepare you to do your work independently today. So your new learning is going to be identifying polygons. And after you identify the polygons, you're going to tell me how many right angles they have. And you can use your piece of paper to check right along with me as I use my right angle check up here. So the first thing I know you guys are fantastic at, count the number of sides that this polygon has and tell me the name of this polygon. You're exactly right. It has 5 sides. What is the name of a 5-sided polygon? You're right. This is a pentagon. Now we're going to determine the number of right angles. I know a right angle is any angle where 2 perpendicular straight lines meet, any corner that's straight across and straight down, just like this one. So I know it has one right angle, and I can use my piece of paper to hold it up and see, look, there's 2 perpendicular sides that meet. I know right away that this is another right angle. I'm going to check the remaining angles with my right angle check. This is not a right angle. Look, it's bigger than a right angle. This doesn't fit at all. Oh my goodness, the remaining angle is also not a right angle because it doesn't match the perfect corner of a rectangle like your piece of paper. So I know there are only 2 right angles on our first pentagon. Let's check our work. Yes, here's a right angle and here's a right angle. The remaining 3 angles are not 90 degrees. I'm going to let you try one. Would you determine the name of this polygon and also determine the number of right angles it has? You're exactly right. This polygon is a rectangle. We know it's a 4-sided shape. How many right angles does a rectangle have? You're exactly right. A rectangle has 4 right angles, and I could use my right angle check or a piece of paper to check each angle to make sure it's a perfect corner where 2 perpendicular straight lines meet. You're right. All rectangles have 4 right angles. This one is just slightly trickier, 3rd graders. So what is the name of this polygon? I'm going to let you start by counting the sides and writing down the name of this polygon. You're exactly right. The name of this polygon is a pentagon. It has 5 sides. Use a piece of paper to determine the number of right angles it has. Remember, you can use your right angle check, which is a piece of paper, to determine whether or not the corners are right angles. So as I use my right angle check, I notice it does not fit perfectly. So even though that angle looks close to a right angle, I know it's not a right angle because I know the lines have to be perpendicular. Same with this angle. It's close, but you'll notice the lines do not fit perfectly on this pentagon. So this pentagon actually has 0 right angles. I'm going to let you guys do this one by yourself. What is the name of this polygon and how many right angles does it have? Use a piece of paper to check, please. You're right. The name of the polygon is a hexagon because it has 6 sides. How many right angles does it have? If you said none, you are exactly correct. And you can always use your right angle helper right over here to check, but you know none of these angles have that perfect corner like a square or a rectangle. Wonderful work. This is the last one we're going to do together today. I'm going to let you draw this on your paper. Write the name of the polygon and also please write the number of right angles that this polygon has. Use a piece of paper to check your angles. You are exactly right. This polygon is called the triangle. Because as you know, triangles have 3 sides and 3 angles. How many right angles does it have? I know right away that this is not a right angle because there are not 2 perpendicular sides that meet to form a corner. It's smaller than a right angle because this is what a right angle would look like. I could check using my checker. This is also not a right angle. Look, the corner is not made up of two perpendicular straight lines. What about this angle? Is that a right angle? Excellent job. You know it is a perfect right angle because it has two perpendicular straight lines that meet to form a corner. So this triangle does have one right angle. I hope you wrote down 1. Hey, my wonderful 3rd grade friends. Now you get to finish this task on your own. I have helped you with the first problem. So you will notice right away that your task today is very, very similar to the work that we just did together. So you are very prepared to take this on. So for all of the polygons below, you are going to identify the name of the polygon by counting the number of side lengths it has. Then you're going to determine the number of right angles the shape has. You can always use a piece of paper to check. Boys and girls, let's look at this first one together. So I'm going to determine the name of the shape by counting the side lengths. There are 1, 2, 3 sides. So I know right away that the name of this shape is a triangle. It has 3 sides. Now I'm going to determine how many right angles it has. So I know right away that this is not a right angle because it's not that perfect 90-degree corner like a square. This is also not a right angle, but this right angle is a right angle because it's where two perpendicular straight lines meet. So I wrote under number of right angles this triangle has only one right angle. Let's look at this one. Let's determine the name of the shape together. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. What is the name of a shape with 5 sides? You're exactly right. It's a pentagon. Does a pentagon have any right angles? Could use a piece of paper to check, but I can tell right away there aren't any perpendicular sides that meet to form a right angle. So I would say this pentagon has 0 right angles. I know you are very prepared to do this task, and I cannot wait to see your careful work. Please turn in your work to me after you have checked it 2 times. Thank you for the fantastic listening, boys and girls.